Hey, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, gentlemen and ladies. We got another edition of the Pocket Change Market Report, this time for April 9th, 2022. I want to thank each and every single one of you for tuning in on this Saturday morning. We're going to take a look at some of the most notable errors and varieties to have sold on eBay here in the last 24 to 36 hours. These are all coins, of course, that were found by way of going through pocket change. Coin roll hunting is another big activity that people like to do. To find some of these coins couldn't be any more important than today, as we're beginning to see, this trend of more errors being found, even on brand new 2022 coins. So definitely something to keep an eye out for, and it's going to be reports like this that's going to be instrumental in getting the word out that these coins do exist out there and change today. They do command a really nice secondary market for individual coins. And most importantly, all the coins here are not graded. We don't talk about graded coins. That's generally an added expense that I would not recommend participating in, unless you really like spending $60, $70 per coin to get attributed through PCGS. Then, that's your prerogative. But, we're looking at coins that you can easily flip. Just take good pictures and you're good to go. You're going to find that all of the images on today's video are natural and true to the original listings that are on eBay. I didn't juice up any photos. I didn't, make some brighter, darker, whatever. You're going to get exactly what you're going to see on that listing. All right, so let's go ahead and jump right in. Thank you guys again. Don't forget to hit the like, share, subscribe, all that great stuff. Week in, week out. Always appreciate your guys' support. We're going to go ahead and start it off with a outgoing 2021 quarter. And this one right here is the Tuskegee Airmen. We're all pretty adept as to what to look for on these. There's a number of these funky strike-throughs that exist on the reverse of the coin. In addition to a lot of pretty cool die chips. There's quite a few die chips on the airplanes, on the goggles that the airman's wearing right there. Just a lot of stuff going on here. Of course, the biggest draw to these coins last year were these strike-throughs that were right on the building. The buildings look like they were on fire, and I think that was part of the appeal to this coin and the error itself. You'll also notice a few of these kind of diagonal parallel lines. These are light feeder finger scrapes, so they scrape atop the die as they're pushing the blank planchets in and out of the striking chamber before and after the strike. And some would say that the strike through on the building is a result of some movement of whatever grease was on the feeder finger that gets pushed around constantly on the dies. So that's why we see a myriad of different types of sizes of the strike through. But nonetheless, still to this day, we're a year removed from when these were first discovered. Still an incredibly popular coin to pick up. This one right here, more on the minor side, did sell for $58.94. So again, these are still out there. The better the grade, the more that they're worth. Now here's a really nice 1973D Roosevelt dime. This one, there's something definitely wrong with it, and it was struck off-center by about 60%. Just a very attractive coin. And I would venture to guess that this is a date that most collectors of this segment of error collecting would want. People do collect these by date, so if there's a date that doesn't traditionally come onto the secondary market with any frequency, that they are going to sell for a little bit more money. 73D I've seen before, so it's not a super rarity in an off-center strike. However, this one did pop up to the tune of $25. So I would say that's money well spent on a coin that exhibits a full date and mint mark, which are the things these collectors are looking for. Now, condition really doesn't really matter on various different types of errors. We have this 1944 Lincoln wheat cent, not the the greatest looking example. You would look at this and say, yeah, it might have been cleaned at one point, but what do we have here as far as a focal point? And it's going to be this squiggly line thing under the word Liberty. This is actually a little strike through. Could be a little bit of a thread that was on the die before this coin was struck. And subsequently, this is going to be the byproduct of what you have here. No, this is not a scratch. You don't have the buildup of material on either side of that line to indicate a scratch. This is just a really cool example that, ultimately was finally found. It did circulate quite a bit and quite often. However, if you were able to find something like this on maybe not just this coin, but any other coin you could find, they do have a lot of desirability. This one sold for $33.50. I would say that would make it a really good find. All right, so we got a 1999 Lincoln Memorial cent. This one right here is a coin that looks a lot bigger than a standard penny. And it is. This one is a Broadstrike error, is what it's referred to. Simply meaning that the collar that holds the coin in place during the strike action was not there. All right, so the metal flow had to go outward, like like pushing your finger through Play-Doh. You can see all that material go outwards. So that's what happened here. So it makes the coin quite a bit bigger. Here's a little side-by-side comparison. Seller always does a great job with a comparo of a regular coin. You can see just the overall size difference from the 99 that you see here compared to the other coin in reference. Now, these are quite common from 1998 to 2001. It seems to me that there are a lot of broad strikes and off-center strikes during this 4-year set. And a lot of them were found in mid-sewn bags during its day. That's why so many of them are in the marketplace today. This one right here, really nice shape, sold for $32.30, which is a little bit on the higher side compared to some other broad strikes of this 4-year era. I've seen them sell for a lot less because they are that much more plentiful. Now, from the same seller, we have a 1996 Washington quarter. So we have another broad strike here, maybe slightly off-center. But this is a really pretty coin. And I think it lends a lot of its beauty to its original condition. It's a very lustrous, I would say, kind of marginal mid-state 62, 63 grade. I mean, it's got a lot to look at here. And if you're looking for this date, you collect broad strikes for this particular denomination, this would be a good one to have. This one sold for $32.30. Same with the previous listing. All 3 coins from the same seller, or 2 coins rather. Here's a little bit of a side-by-side. Again, no collar was that in place during the strike, so it made the coin a whole lot bigger. And you'll find that there is going to be an omission of the reeded edge, all right, compared to the other quarter that this one is right next to. Yeah, it's quite a bit bigger. So that's going to be one of the things you'll look out for. All right, so here's the third coin from the same seller, a 1998 Washington. Again, another high-grade example. This time, this one is exhibiting 2 curved clips on there, so that is quite nice. Not one I would say pops up too frequently in change, especially in this condition. Oftentimes, you're going to find them in much worse circulated shape. This one sold for $18.30. Now, this one is an absolute joy. The moment I laid eyes on it, it looked like a starburst just coming off the screen. And that's even before I clicked into the listing. But what we have here, out of all dates, this is a 1964 Jefferson nickel. It looks like a coin that you would find in the 70s or 80s, because that's where you find a lot of broad strikes. But yes, this is a 64, well centered. It's just this thing had the most amazing strike to be able to stretch out all the devices, especially those letters around the periphery of the coin, to this extent, and that's where you get a lot of the starbursting action as a result. This coin, I would imagine, would be a lot bigger than a standard U.S. quarter. The seller did not do a side-by-side comparison because it is a different seller. Go figure, right? But this coin, where did it end up at? How about $100 is what this one sold for? Quite a bit more than the previous examples that we've seen in other denominations in this video. So that's a really pretty coin. Very nice high-grade example at that. All right, so case in point, here's another 99. This time it's an off-center strike. I would say this one's about 35-40% off-center. Beautiful coin. Very nice high-grade BU specimen. It is a 99p, so if there was a D-mint mark, we would see that because it's got the full date, and that area is well within view here. Really good-looking coin. Again, one of the more common dates. This one sold for $18.99. All right, Cuds are king, baby, and we have a few of them for this week. How about 86 with just an absolutely amazingly large Cud die break right above Lincoln's head. These happen when a piece of the die eventually cracks and falls off, right, through attrition. A lot of wear and tear on these dies will produce cracks and various chips, and in this particular case, huge monumental die breaks like this. It wasn't too far off before this thing was set to retire to greener pastures, I guess. But in 86, out of all dates, really nice here. This one sold for $69 with 8 bids. First listing for today with a lot of interest. Now, here's a date that you don't see too often, but I would be much more cautious about selling coins like this with all that exposed zinc. But this is a 1991 Lincoln Memorial. It's off-center by about 50%, somewhere around there. Again, a date that you won't traditionally see out there for sale. So if you do come across these through like a coin dealer or a show, and they're asking like well below market value, this might be an opportunity for you or whoever to pick some of these up to resell. But just a really nice coin here, sold for $20. Again, I think a lot of the potential was kind of held back a little by the amount of exposed zinc, because that's the area where you're going to receive a lot more corrosion on there. And here's a 1996P. This time we have a little bit of an off-center strike, I would say by about 15%-ish, 20% on its best of days. Really nice high-grade example here. This coin is just probably slightly larger than a standard Roosevelt dime. So if you're asking yourself, well, can I find one of these in a roll? You might. Usually the rolling machines will do a number on these as they're being processed. They'll scratch them and stuff. Again, your hot place to cherry pick these are going to be in those mid-sewn bags. This one sold for $39 with 7 bids. And judging from that final auction price, I would say this is probably a little bit tougher date to find. All right, guys, like I said, make sure you check out your scrap silver, because you never know what you're going to find. This is a 1900 Morgan dollar. It's a Philadelphia minted piece, and one that's not particularly rare, especially in this condition. You could sometimes find these in scrappy bulk silver constitutional lots, and this one right here with a pretty nice strike through. You can see the stars right here on the left side of the coin disappearing and going into the tip of the bust. But also at the same token, you do have some weakness here on the reverse as well. So this is a pretty nice error that will transform any scrappy coin that's worth $30 into something a little bit more. Like, for example, this one sold for $112.50. That's a pretty good return just for looking through some good old scrappy silver. There's a 2016 P. Jefferson nickel. I've been blessed to have talked about a few of these particular rotated die errors here recently. There have been a number of them that have popped up onto the market, and they're always a good kind of topic of conversation. This one right here exhibits a counterclockwise rotation of about, the seller said 45 degrees. I don't think it's there. I think this is more like 30, 35%. If you could kind of like, draw out a kind of like right angle right here, you could see that it doesn't split it right evenly in half of 90 degrees. So I would say, yeah, 30, 35%, probably 35% for this one. And the seller did a really good job posting up probably the easiest amount of concrete evidence to showcase the rotated reverse without doing the mirror trick. So utilizing a 2x2, and this is where I think imaging these in a 2x2 is the best, because otherwise I would say don't do that at all because of just the funny glare and just the crappy presentation that you would normally get for that type of photo imaging. But you could see that the seller used not only these colored marker dots, but also just the placement of the staples also helps out with this reference. This one sold for $14.03 with 6 bids. The coin has circulated. I know mid-state examples of these can climb up to $50, $60, so that's another good one to look out for. All right, so here's our first significant lot. This might only really be the only lot on our list today, but we have a lot of 8 Lincoln cent off-center strikes. These are all the copper-coated zinc era of coins. One of these actually is a uniface. That's this one right here. The uniface happens again when a coin that is off-center struck is overlapping onto a blank planchet before the strike. So it receives double the pressure, and oftentimes the off-center portion of it is going to be quite stretched out, as you can see here. So that explains that. Not the best highest end look of this particular lot. This one's quite fugly right here with its staining or carbon spotting or corrosion or whatever you want to call that. These coins, again, are very susceptible to long-term kind of storage if it's not done properly, to where they can corrode, based off of the moisture content of that environment. But yeah, people look at lots like these with the prospect of reselling them on an individual basis. So this is where you got to do some basic math, really get down to the numbers, all the while exploring recent sold sales. Because if it doesn't make sense, don't touch it. This particular lot sold for $69.26 with 10 bids. I would say there's very little opportunity to make any kind of money. There are coins like this right here, which will net you virtually nothing. So in essence, you are going to be working with just 7 decent coins. The good news is a lot of them do have full dates, if not all of them. So that's something you can work with. But yeah, just be wary with these type of lots that are kind of like fool's gold. You want to be able to double your money. At the end of the day, I don't think you're quite close on this. Now, this was a fun find back in the day. So this is the non-colorized $20 bill, the newer revised looking 20s with the bigger portrait on there. But there is something missing here. And I've talked about this one in lots of detail. This one is missing the green seal under the $20 design right here. All right, and that was a common thing found on 2001 $20 Andrew Jacksons. Okay, so if you still come across these, make sure you take a look in that very area. If it's missing the green seal, you have something there. They can also be found, but not quite as frequently, on the 2004 $20 bills. I believe that's the first series where it's like full colorized paper, along with some other things going on. I think you can find the non-green seal error variants of those. There's a little bit of an image of the back that's note has circulated a little bit. And this one right here sold for $238.80, which is a supreme amount of money for these. I remember back in the day, these, in crisp, uncirculated condition, because they were being found out of bank straps from the BEP, were selling for right around $200, and a lot of people were finding them. But today, you're not seeing nearly as many as we did 20 years ago. So this is going to be a good opportunity to find these and make a lot more money because the market is so much more stronger today. All right, don't overlook these guys. We got a nice beat up 1940. And I wouldn't say beat up, more so just really well circulated. All right, this thing has a pretty good sized retained lamination along with a detached piece that had fallen out at one point. But yeah, laminations all of a sudden have some relevancy in today's market. This one sold for $7.03 with 8 bids. I can only imagine if this coin was in a lot higher condition, this one would be selling for a little bit more money. Quick little update on our 2021 Lincoln Shield Cent friend here with the large retained cud with the interior die break. Just a beautiful coin. This one actually sold for $416.11 with 16 bids. That's fantastic. A very healthy market on this coin that'll continue to just do really well in time as these dry up. Here's another spectacular one on a 2018 Minnesota Voyagers ATB quarter. You guys probably already see it there on the obverse. Next to the mint mark, we have a really nice raised rim cud. All right, so this is a little bit of a break, I believe, on the collar die. And then when it strikes all the coins, all the metal flows that go in that area where a piece of the collar had fallen out. So you get this raised event. So on a rim cud, the cud doesn't go into the actual design of the coin. So make sure you know the difference between this and a full-blown cud. So this one right here, one in which I firmly believe a lot of people have overlooked because it's so innocuous, it's so innocent right there on that rim, sold for $7.29. Although I've seen other examples get as high as about $15-20, but those are generally mid-state condition. All right, our coin of the week, and this is one that I found a few of these in the past, and at first glance, you really don't know what you have, first of all. Number two, you really don't know if you have this until you take a close look at the edge of these things. It's a 1968D candy half dollar, and you're only going to find this particular occurrence more frequently on the 40% silver half dollars. So for those of you that have these in quantity, this is certainly something that maybe you ought to inspect just to make sure that you're not overlooking something here. But we know these are 40% silver. They're at the time they were considered and coined, haha, no pun intended, as a silver clad, kind of like a regular clad coin, which is a copper nickel composition. These are a silver copper composition. So when you look at the edge, you do have the opportunity and the chance because the contaminants between each of the layers on some of these 40%ers can be quite strong, to the point where they actually split away the silver part of the coin from the core. So yeah, we have a clamshell lamination, and I've highlighted a number of these here recently, and here's another example that's really in nice shape. Obviously, this one has been helped along because you're not going to find this particular lamination just by looking at the edge of every coin, expecting to have this kind of separation on there. Oftentimes, the separation won't even be there. It's just going to be, all the clad layers are going to appear to be bonded well together up until maybe you rub a finger and then, notice a little snag or something on the edge. But yeah, this one definitely helped along for photography's sake, and I'm saying that's just okay, but do not go overboard to the point where you develop a crease on the actual obverse or reverse face of the coin. That's going to do damage there. This one right here sold for $70 with 28 bits. I've seen these climb well over $100. Again, there's really no rhyme or reason of how one sells for over $100 and one sells for just 70. Just know that they do sell for quite a bit of money, and these are actually a lot more common than you think. I own about probably 8 of them that I've searched through over the course of the last 25 years. And yeah, they are out there. Oh, here's our good old Statehood quarter error friend that everybody loves. And this is a 1999D Georgia. This one's off center by really small amount, maybe 10%. You can even say it might be just a marginal Broadstrike as well. I don't know. And this one right here sold for $23.07 with 13 bids. There are a number of really brave collectors that are tackling off-center struck Statehood quarters with a passion. And, they are extremely patient, and they love hunting out some of these. And it doesn't matter what they look like. They pump in quite a bit of money to these. Oh, the irony of a star note, right? These are replacement notes for errors that happened during the printing process. But this one right here is a star note that is an error. A very slight error. There are people that are going to look at this and say, yeah, it's rather minor. But case in point, this is an exercise in recognizing something that could be worth something to somebody. This one has a slightly misaligned third print. Most notable, this green seal is a little bit further south from the middle of this $1 design. But you can also tell that everything is just a little bit lower, the serial numbers and whatnot. This one right here sold for $44.99. Again, quite a minor error, and always one to look out for. There's a little bit of the back there. This note is seeing quite a bit of circulation. All right, another candy $half. This time a 1976 Bicentennial. This one does have a strike through on the reverse, and that's why this one is on the list. A little bit minor, but that might be kind of like a detached reading or some other scrap of some sort. Pretty nice. Again, good job for the seller of identifying this. It didn't sell for a ton of money, but $8.53. I would trade this, for that amount of money and then buy a silver $half. Look at it that way. And there is a 2020 shield scent with the kind of like the strike through area in front of Lincoln's mouth. They call this the Smoking Lincoln variety. It's not a variety, more so an error of a strike through. And this one right here sold for $11.50. The seller actually has a number of them for this amount of money. I believe, 6 of them? So sold 1 so far. Now here's a little bit of an update on the Washington crossing the Delaware Crown die chip. Again, these are still out there to be found. And, they're easy peasy money if you do come across them. This is kind of like the middle progression chip. Not the largest, not the smallest, but right in the middle. This one sold for $51.55 with 9 bids. Still a very healthy seller. 2019 Lincoln Shield scent. This one right here apparently has circulated quite a bit. You can just tell. But this one here is a slight off-center strike with a little bit of a partial tilted collar. You can see some of that kind of like stepped railroaded effect on the edge here. So that's one of the marquee traits of a partial collar. This one right here sold for $14.43 with 7 bids. And then we have another 2-coin lot here. This time a pair of Buffalo nickels. Okay, we talked about a pair of Buffaloes last episode, but we got another one here with some planchet flaws. We got some laminations and all sorts of great stuff on both of these. We have a 1930 that you can see there on the right, and then we do have another coin there on the left, which is a 26D. Kind of a tough date, but not a particularly high grade date at that. It does have a full date. I will give it that. So if you're looking for an album filler, that one might work in spite of the lamination. And this one right here is sold for $22.99. All right, our big error note of the day. It has to go to this 1995 $1 bill, the coin. The piece of paper right here is in miraculous condition. It's brand spanking new. Probably found back when you were able to get BEP packs direct from the bank. But yeah, it has a butterfly fold with a print over and all sorts of other weird stuff going on. Look at the reverse there. And it's also got a little bit of a solvent smear on that little piece, which I think is just really cool. So consider this, I guess, a dual error. People do like it that collect into these things. This one right here is sold for $263. That's a pretty good chunk of money for this one. And I'm going to be talking about these less and less unless a new, bigger type of error shows up. But this one's worth the final mention because while a lot of the drooling edge-of-mouth die chips have certainly fallen out of favor and value, this is the one right here that still seems to perform at a very high level. This one right here has the largest formation of that drool die chip in addition to all of the little tiny die chips that are beginning to form on the bridge of Washington's nose. This is the more advanced, I guess, the level of this this die state. So something to keep in mind, if you think you have something that's not worth nearly as much as it was 2 months ago, you might want to think again. This one right here is sold for $48 with 29 bids. Great looking coin. I owned a few of these myself in the collection. Just as kind of like a proxy to know what we're looking at here. But yeah, really cool errors still. The minor die chips sell for a lot less these days, under $10. And then we're going to end off our show on a couple really, really spicy coins. Like I said, Cuds are kings. And we have a couple of them here. 1983 Lincoln Memorial cent with a pretty nice, big, huge cut die break on the obverse. You can see the corresponding weakness over the word 1, which is what you want to see. Really nice condition too. You usually don't find them in this nice a shape. This one sold for $107 with 12 bids. And we also have a 1970S as well that also sold in this week's PCMR period, and this one has a pretty sizable cut in that same spot, only this time on the right side of the motto there. This one ended up selling for $116.50 with 16 bids. But finally, I get to end it off on a 1983 doubled die reverse Lincoln Memorial. Now, this is kind of like the type of coin that you would easily find and change as far as condition goes. So these used to be under $100 all day long as a circulation find, a coin that probably grades out AU 50, maybe a little bit less. Typically could be picked up for between like $70 and $80. The market has changed on these. These, because of how dramatic the doubling is. I mean, just look at the word 1 cent. You can't really miss it. These things have shot up in value, especially graded mid-state condition coins. But where does it leave the circulation finds? Well, this one right here, ladies and gentlemen, sold for $110, signifying a 20 to 30% increase. I was going to say upcrease. Is that even a word? Not today. Well, maybe today it is. I'll make it a word just for today. That's a 20 to 30% increase value-wise in circulated grades for this particular variety, and I don't see it slowing down. These will disappear. A lot of them with zinc rot are just going to eat themselves away, and that's going to leave less and less of these available for collections out there. But, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to go ahead and do it for this edition of the PCMR. I'm your host, Sean, with BlueRidgeSilverhound. Always a pleasure. Did you have a favorite in today's list? We'd love to hear about it. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And most importantly, love you guys. Thank you again for all your views and support. Coinaholics, we are discovering together. You guys take care. Have a good one. And I'll see you on the next coin video.